Today, I wanted to address something that's been happening more and more in the comments section. People dropping by to leave dismissive remarks about faith, God, or Christianity, and then getting upset when I actually respond with substance. So let's talk about it. Look, if you're going to come onto my page and challenge the existence of God or mock people of faith, at least be prepared to have an actual conversation. Don't just throw out talking points and then get defensive when someone engages you intellectually. That's not how productive discussions work. So let me lay out something for those who claim there's no rational basis for belief in God. There are actually several well established philosophical arguments that have been discussed for centuries, and they're worth understanding whether you agree with them or not. So let's start with the ontological argument. It comes from the Greek word ontos, meaning being. The idea here is that the highest conception of being points to God as the ultimate reality that makes all other thought possible. Now, I'll admit this is probably the most abstract of these arguments, but it's been defended by some of the greatest minds in philosophy. And then there's the cosmological argument from the Greek word cosmos, meaning all encompassing creation. When you look at our universe, it shows remarkable fine tuning. Earth Earth's axial tilt, our distance from the sun, the precise balance of oxygen to carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. If any one of these measurements were off by even a fraction, life couldn't exist. Scientists have identified at least 15 of these finely tuned constants. The probability of all of these factors aligning perfectly is astronomically small. When we're talking one in multiple trillions, you know, this suggests that intentional design rather than random chance. Next is teleological argument, which comes from the Greek word telos, meaning goal or purpose. It's actually pretty straightforward logic. Every effect requires a cause. Since space, time, and matter exist, something outside of space and matter must have caused them to exist. Otherwise, you're violating the basic laws of reason. You can't have something that comes from nothing without a cause. There's also the Kalam Cosmological Argument, which specifically deals with time itself. And thanks to Einstein, we know that time is real, it's measurable, and it had a beginning. If time has a beginning, then something timeless must have created it. That's not religious dogma, that's following the logic where it leads. And finally, there's the axiological argument from the Greek word axios, meaning judgment. Every human culture throughout history, regardless of geography, regardless of religion, has recognized concepts of right and wrong. We all have this innate sense of morality. The question is, where does that come from? If the or if there's an objective moral law and most people believe there is, then it suggests there must be a moral lawgiver. Now, on top of all these philosophical arguments, let's talk about the historical evidence. Here's something that often gets overlooked. There's never been an archaeological discovery that has contradicted the Bible. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Archaeological findings have consistently confirmed historical statements made in the Bible. Cities, rulers, events, they keep getting verified. The Bible itself addresses this. Romans chapter 1 verse 20 says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse." So here's my point. I'm not saying you have to agree with any of this. I'm not saying these arguments are going to instantly convince you if you're a skeptic. But what I am saying is that if you're going to show up in my comments section, challenge faith, you should at least understand that there are serious, thoughtful, logical arguments on the other side. This isn't about blind faith versus enlightened reason. There's real substance here. If you want to have a genuine discussion, I'm all for it. Bring counter arguments, engage with the ideas, but don't just leave dismissive comments and then act surprised when you get substantive responses. And if you're not willing to engage respectfully and intellectually, maybe just keep scrolling. There are plenty of other places on the internet for that kind of interaction, but it's not going to be here. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.